Go. Hello, welcome to another episode of Sports with Monga, and it is the Formula One Grand Prix Japan qualifying reaction. And yes, I have a guest here, and the guest is someone I know, Arun. And we have been Formula One enthusiasts, and we've talked about Formula One quite some time, with also having to going the misery days of Ferrari, talking about those miserable days, and then thinking about who will beat Mercedes, and then here comes Red Bull. And we have been on and off talking about on different on WhatsApp chats. It's like, what just happened here, and how did this happen, and so on and so forth. And it's one of those things where you rekindle and you think, oh, we can talk about this on something more social, and we can talk about it freely. So thanks, Aaron, and welcome to Sports with Monga.
Yeah, hi, Kanaya. It was my pleasure to join here. As I know you from past so many years, and you are good at this. And if you remember, in those days we were talking. You gave an insight. It was like Red Bull is underdog. It was like Max Verstappen will be there, and you were challenging don't push Hamilton too much. He is having a challenge at bottom. And yeah, this is that day. This is that day where you can see. And I see a person in the team and in the batch of 20 people who can challenge Max. And definitely bring that while our discussions. Let's start. Thanks.
Perfect. Super. So let's jump into straight away into the Q3. We will go through it Q3, Q2, Q1. We'll start with Q1 eliminations. Japan, it was raining yesterday. FP3 ended. We had the Red Bull boys up there, McLaren along with them, the Mercedes, the Ferraris. But what was unknown and what we didn't know, like how will the Aston Martins respond and what will Williams eventually end up doing? But it was pretty clear in Q1 with the eliminations of Bottas, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Zhou, and one guy, I just can't understand what is he up to. Like, why is Williams backing him up still? Logan Sargent shunts the car in the final corner and is out.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, thinking about even Stroll also at a part, and also Logan Sargent. They know it is windy. They can see the flags flapping around. They know the direction. There is a guy at radio shouting that the wind is happening, and this guy goes as if it is an karting. He thought it's a go karting, and is going in the straight. I don't know what happened, and then one mistake added up, and he's into the darkness.
Yeah,
So I was very disappointed.
No, but I think it's been a lot of races of disappointments. I will go back to Zandvoort and that moment where he has finished in Q3. He gets both Williams in Q3 and he shunts it in the qualifying and then in the race as well. And I think it's a downhill spiral, and it's one of those things with a driver, when you lose confidence and when you know that you don't have everybody's watching, and if I make one mistake, it's going to blow up. Yeah. You generally tend to make that mistake.
Yes, exactly. See, with the Williams, the strategy they're coming up, and Alex in the place is literally being the boss there. He turned the whole Williams to him, and he's performing there. Even if it's a very bad package, he's bringing out the best. The team principal is giving his blood into the Williams and everything. And I don't know, someone should show him a mirror and so, boss, you should turn around and you should come back.
I don't think he will have an opportunity, considering given the rumor mill that Felipe Drugovich is very close to getting that ride for the next 24 years, considering Yuki and Daniel Ricciardo were announced before the race today that they will continue as the Alpha Tauri drivers for 2024, leaving Liam Lawson as a reserve driver for both Red Bull and Alpha Tauri. So he's driving for two teams. So Liam Lawson is locked. There is no way that Liam Lawson will be loaned out like Alex Albon was from the Red Bull family to Williams. So he stays. But Felipe Drugovich is the guy that everybody's talking about. But I also want to talk about in Q1, there was one driver that we have been feeling that maybe it's better for him to do an MBA. And that's Lance Stroll. What is happening with him?
You are in the target. See, there's one guy who's putting podiums. Yeah, he's a 40-year-old guy who's putting in podiums, and this guy, he could have at least copied Alonso and go back of him. At least he will be leading in P5 or P6, even if it's not in P20. I don't know. His dad, Someone again show the mirror to his dad, saying, like, what did you do to your son?
I think that's kind of the thing, right? Like it's not as simple as like Red Bull cutting Nick de Vries, right? Like Red Bull basically saying we have financial commitments here. This is money that we have spent, and we have sponsors, and we need to make an action. You are not driving the car that we want the way we want, and we need to let you go. So Nick de Vries situation versus what's happening with Lance Stroll is the difference, because the financial the financial the finance in that team is Lawrence Stroll, and he's the father of the driver who just finished, who's not been driving at any potential in my mind. He's just driving as if it is one of this kind of, he comes out, he's like, yeah, well, I'll see how this goes. And then, he just finishes. I'm like, what is happening?
See, this is not such like company stuff. Like we are raising, we are looking there for actions, and each one is fighting. Like Daniel Ricciardo, such a great driver, he did not have a seat for 6 months, and this guy is crashing somewhere with a Formula One car so expensive. I'm like, why this world is to be so cruel? And sometimes I feel Red Bull is the best. They are doing their best. If you
Exactly.
don't drive, go out.
That's perfect, right? And everybody says like they're harsh, they don't show love, and you have Hamilton and you have everybody, like even Toto Wolff coming out and saying that's how they do it. They're but then that's the business. It's not family. It's not fun. This is a high intensity sport. You need to be at your top of the game to kind of be and have like 20 world class drivers. You can't expect them to be like strolling around.
And see, you can't expect an angel world. This is a cruel world, and this is how the world runs, and this how we survive. And I don't know, like
Now I agree.
Stroll survives with the name.
But then one more is like, I think Alfa Romeo, Bottas, and Joe, they have had the most. I think they've had the slowest car this whole season, in my opinion. They've been struggling a lot. But what's your opinion on that one?
See, if you see from this season, especially in the qualifiers, each and every team, even Lewis had sometimes got this like there's a slow going car in the front and they are stuck in a traffic. I don't know, there's happening something in that. And Joe was mentioning about it. He was stuck between Alpha Tauri. So I don't know, like with this new design, they get this gap reduced, or like if it is launch time,
But
there
what
is something messing up.
one thing that Joe did also do is like he messed up his Degna 2 sector on the turn 9. He said that he had traffic of an Alpha Tauri, but he had Hamilton in front. But he was carrying too much speed. So I think it is up to driver error. But then he can, no driver generally accepts that they made a mistake. But then and they also say like, oh, there was traffic and in the Degna, and this is it's a very flowing track. But if you make a mistake in one, you've lost possibly the whole lap.
And I feel like Alpha Tauri is suffering about like after the team principal change, and this season mainly Bottas is also not in a very good
No.
pace.
And one Haas in that as well of Hulkenberg out. I don't think he had any pace. And I think one thing that Haas's have done like earlier, or like before this even qualifying started, during the conferences before the qualifying, they have basically just said this is going to be our worst race ever. Like, because basically the Haas does not do well when it has to turn. And I'm like, wait, I'm like, how what? The cars just can't, there have to be turns in a track. Like how? So I think Haas is definitely out. That's done. So moving to Q2, then I would say Q2 pretty interesting. Lawson, Gasly, Albon, Ocon, and Magnussen out. What do you think?
See, I want to talk about Liam Lawson. That guy, I'm so impressed with the rookies, and he got only 2 seats, and he's driving in a Formula car in Japanese track for the first time. And he's driving as a person. He's like 20 times or 30 times. He has so confidence in his laps. And if you see the lap timings at a time, he was like only 0.5 seconds with Max. Max has the best car in the track, and he's outperforming even Lewis with the best. Like he has a potential, and I feel like if I want to bet in the future, I'll bet on him.
Oh,
He's
that's
the guy.
No, but
He's the
that,
guy.
and I think that's pretty clear, right? Like Red Bull has pretty strong drivers. They've come up with very strong. You can see all of them, right? All of almost
And
half
it's
of
not like, yeah, and it's not like he's not under pressure with Yuki's there
yeah,
and
yeah,
Red Bull's culture, and he's under tremendous pressure.
absolutely.
That pressure.
And one thing we have to also remember that he is driving for Red Bull in the Japanese Formula One series. Formula so
Yes.
he and this is the only track like after all of all the four tracks that he has driven. This is his fourth race. So let's give him the credit where it's due. Liam Lawson is driving in his fourth race of Formula One after he was put in as a reserve driver after Daniel Ricciardo broke his hand in Zandvoort. And he has done an amazing job with scoring his first points in Singapore, which was a street track which he has never driven. This track, he has driven this track in Japanese Formula. And that's kind of the interesting part. Like, but then I completely agree with what you're saying. He is one of those drivers who deserves a seat, but then that's the nature of Formula One. It is so competitive. There are like, where can he go? Red Bull don't want to loan him out to anybody, and he will possibly say, okay, next year, 2024, when Alpha Tauri or like whatever they call him has a better understanding. I think this is also a way for him to kind of get more experience. This 4 races or like 5 races, if he does Qatar as well, will help Liam Lawson with a lot of confidence, and I think he will take out a lot of interesting kind of for himself. Like, I can do it. My neck muscles are doing well. Like, physically, I am there.
Yes. But like, I don't know. See, say we exactly we cannot confirm this would happen in F1. It always turns a page. It's on the edge. We
Yes.
just hope.
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's the game. The two Alpine boys, Gasly and Ocon out, Albon as well, and Magnussen. I think Magnussen made it like he. I don't know how he made himself in the. I think it was just because somebody could not improve and nobody improved in the Q3 in the last lap. He finished. Magnussen was out in Q2, the first one. Ocon and Gasly, I think that was interesting because they were not that far. Like, if you see the track times from Liam Lawson, 1:30.425, 1:30.843, and Ocon 1:39.60. So there is not a lot that's kind of in that between them. It's like 2 tenths or like 200ths, and that's the difference. But then Alpine, I think one thing was good is that Alpine scored some points in Singapore. Ocon, of course, gutted the birthday boy. Like, come on, that's the worst birthday present from Alpine. Like, having a reliability issue. But then they are close. They're all kind of bunched pretty close.
See, you see the sequence of activities happening around Alpine. They are like they have a roller coaster, and I cannot judge their performance. I cannot judge their drivers. This session, especially with things happening with them, even their leadership doesn't. I feel sometimes even their leadership doesn't have a proper goal. Like in their company, what would they in the track? Given those one or two moments, I feel like this guy Gasly is doing well. He wanted to prove. And again, he's like same as old Red Bull time.
Yeah.
Out of 10 races, I'll do in only in one. That's it. Like next, I don't know what happens to me.
So on that note, I think we should jump to Q1 and the guy, the man, the legend, and the man of the moment, Max Verstappen, takes pole in the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka in style.
See, like the best thing I have hats off to Red Bull is that they have the best car. They need not to do anything. Their driver is performing and they are testing their floor. They
Yes.
change the floor, and that is giving like 2 or 3% increase in speed. And they're like, I'm like, God, like where are you going? Like, are you going to do some SpaceX program and going to rocket? And like, why, dude? Always, we had very good race last time in Singapore. We saw it, we had fun, and like even Max loves fun. He don't like cruising. You give him, I don't know. Sometimes I like the speculation. Someone go to like a FI and saying like, give him a Alpha Tauri car and let him drive in Alpha Tauri car.
Yeah, but then that's the beauty of it. Like, Max Verstappen is in a league of its own. Like, you can see where Sergio Perez is.
I
Like,
see. It's a combination of Red Bull and Max mindset. That is the
absolutely.
winning part.
Because I think you can say that, and you have to believe that because Perez has the same car. You have to believe Perez has the same car, but he's 800th behind, and he starts P5, and Max Verstappen's on pole. So there is a mentality and like a clicking difference. Like you click with something and you go with and you run with it, and you don't see that same thing with Perez, who will start P5, but the McLaren boys P2 and P3, and Oscar Piastri pipping Lando Norris.
Yes, I told you in the start, I'll be bringing a guy who I want to say is Oscar Piastri. That guy, man. Like I don't know, with the whole rookies, I'm so excited with him. I don't know, like he did a mistake, but he's there. Like he has the potential. He's just getting those, absorb those, heat inside him,
Yeah.
and then like you see the next race if he gets the right car, and I'm fan of Zach, man. He waited for Mercedes to bring out solution, and then he switched. That's how the boss should be. He should bring the solutions. And the day he brought the solution, these two guys are like challenging Max Verstappen like whatsoever possible. Yeah, they could not reach. That is the secondary part. At least they got an idea going there.
So, but then that's kind of
Uh,
thing, right? So since Austria, and we have to go back to Austria when they brought their new updates, McLaren, and bringing updates every race, every race, almost like smaller bits. They bought a chunk in Singapore, but only Norris had those chunks. Now, Oscar Piastri, this is his first race. He has never raced on this track and this is his
yeah.
first race as well. And he pips Lando Norris, who has been amazing. Like let's be honest, he has been amazing for McLaren. He has outqualified Daniel Ricciardo when he was there. So Oscar Piastri is doing something out of mind that people have not seen.
You should also observe Oscar Piastri is supporting Lando Norris, but he's at the exact one, that 1 millimeter line behind is there. If you want a team game, yeah, I'm in the team game, but I'm only giving you that 1 millimeter. You miss that 1 millimeter, I'm in the top.
I
So
think this
that's
is
it. It's
I
it's it's the same way I saw it when Lewis and you go back to all the team members of Lewis. In the first race of Lewis and Alonso, that 1 millimeter. You see Lewis and any other guy, you see Lewis and Bottas, that 1 millimeter guy. This is that 1 millimeter guy.
I think this all comes down from Jensen Button, like his manager, who has basically told him, you don't need to tell everybody you are the best. You just need to show them that, hey, I have a second here, but I'm just going to hold back and just be behind him and not trouble you
Yes.
guys. But you know what my pace is. So I agree with that point. And that possibly could be happening. But then McLaren, Zach Brown, I think they are the ones to kind of look out for this race, in my opinion. That'll be the one that possibly Red Bull, maybe not catching Max Verstappen unless he makes a mistake. McLaren are the ones.
Yeah, but I like the combination of both. They are like if you go the first, and I saw when Lando was back in Piastri, sorry, uh, and then in the same way when this guy was back in, so they
Yeah,
had the right inventory until unless they get to a point to now they are working for the team.
yeah,
The
exactly.
day comes when they wanted to show themselves. That's where the fun starts.
So that
And
exactly, and that's what everybody say, even in Ferrari boys are saying, right? That if we have a championship winning car, then we have a problem to solve. We don't have a championship winning car right now. Hence, they're all friendly battles. They're like everybody can help everybody because, well, it's for the team, and that's exactly what happens for McLaren right now as well. On that Ferrari note, Charles Leclerc pipping Carlos Sainz, the winner from the Singapore Grand Prix, 4P4, and Carlos Sainz starting P6. I think Sainz did not get a good start for this weekend at all. Maybe it's just a hangover from Singapore. Maybe he's just like partied too much, or he's basically be like, I've done what I have to prove. Now I can play the second fiddle here and support Charles.
see, I feel it's all the mindset there. Like Carlos, he's also a guy. He's not a dumb person. He's very clever. He knows what is happening, but sometimes under peer pressure and everything, he just like I don't know, something clicks in his mind and he misses that golden egg.
Yeah.
Sometimes he get the egg, and sometimes he loses the egg.
And that's kind of thing,
So
right? Like the consistency has been lacking from Charles. The one can definitely say that
even
he sometimes misses it.
the one thing that is consistent with Leclerc is his bad luck. It's really bad luck is
I,
like so consistent than his car.
I think that goes for all Ferrari fans. I would say it's not for Leclerc, but then we always have seen like last year Silverstone, and like there have been so many Spa last year, and there have been so many races. I don't want to get into that one. But let's jump into Mercedes boys here. Lewis Hamilton pipping George Russell, and it's interesting that Lewis Hamilton in the before the qualifying started, he said, "I have been struggling with qualifying. I need to put the car ahead." Like if you remember in Singapore, Russell had outqualified Lewis. That's why he was the one going for the win. But now it's the tides have turned here. George Russell behind Lewis Hamilton, P7, P8.
See, if you see the whole George Russell's and Lewis pattern, Russell is good at qualification and Lewis is good at race pace. Every time, I don't know, like maybe it's a car or it's a mindset or everything. Lewis is so matured, he's like, yeah, let it happen. I'll see where I should find out. But like in this last few, after the summer break, things have changed, and Lewis is the guy. And I feel like you call Alonso, you call Lewis, you call Max. These guys have the same mindset. Until unless you don't poke me or until unless you give my space, I'm okay. Like if you remember Dre's dialogue, I don't want a problem, but if you have a problem, I don't have a problem
Exactly.
about it.
That's the
So
beauty.
Lewis, that guy.
Yes, Lewis will always, like, he's a 7-time world champion. Come on. He knows what he's playing with, and he can toy with you as well. So, it's exactly like the Alonso mindset of like, let him push more, I will drag his tires, and then I will kind of pick. Yeah, but then this pips into perfectly for Fernando Alonso, who
I want to bring one thing before Fernando. Also, you see till Russell living max out, all their tires are struggling within 1-2 laps. I'm pretty sure this will mess up tomorrow's race. Tire degradation is the one thing I'm going to look out for tomorrow's race.
that's going to be
very
interesting
weird.
as well. Yep.
Only in the qualification it got messed up.
That's true. And one thing to note is Mercedes has 2 sets of hards for tomorrow and mediums as well. So it's going to be very interesting. Do they play the same battle, what they did? But quickly to wrap it up, for Yuki Tsunoda, P9, the guy puts it on AlphaTauri's track, the Japanese driver, he puts it in P9. Not bad for him. 2024 driver locked in. What do you think?
See, the day Daniel stepped in AlphaTauri, I saw the God mode on in Yuki's. Till then, he had no threat or like he was very playing safe. But now he understands the seriousness. He understands the seriousness of Red Bull. And until Honda is there, he's there.
Super.
But he's having the talent to it.
So quickly before we wrap it up, your prediction for the race win?
I see a bunch of combinations. I expect at least, see, you leave Max out, there'll be a McLaren or there'll be a combination of Mercedes or Ferrari. I don't see sequence of drivers, but I'll see each one driver is there.
On that note, I would say that's a bold prediction. We'll see which order. We don't know. But thanks for joining us, and do like the video, do share, and do subscribe. Thanks for joining us, Arun, and for the first Grand Prix reaction for Japan. And I hope to see you for the race one as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.